Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we're diving headfirst into the wonderful world of apple pies. That's right, we're tackling not one, but 5 different apple pie recipes. Whether you're a seasoned baker or just starting out, I guarantee there's a pie here for you. Get ready for flaky crusts, warm spices, and of course, that irresistible gooey apple filling. Let's get baking. Okay, let's start with the ultimate classic. The double-crust apple pie. This is the recipe dreams are made of, people. We're talking about a perfectly flaky, buttery crust that practically melts in your mouth, and a sweet and tart apple filling that's perfectly spiced. First things first, the crust. Now, you can definitely use store-bought, but trust me, making your own is so worth it. We're going to keep it simple. Flour, salt, a good amount of cold butter. That's key for flakiness. And some ice water. Cut the butter into the flour until it resembles coarse crumbs. You want some larger pieces for those flaky layers. Then, slowly add the ice water, just until the dough comes together. Don't overwork it. Once you have your dough, divide it in half, flatten each half into a disc, wrap them up, and let them chill in the fridge for at least an hour. This allows the gluten to relax, which prevents the crust from shrinking when it bakes. While the dough chills, let's make the filling. We're using a mix of apples here. I like Granny Smith for tartness and Honeycrisp for sweetness. Peel, core, and slice those apples, then toss them with sugar, cinnamon, a pinch of nutmeg, and a squeeze of lemon juice. The lemon juice helps to keep the apples from browning and adds a touch of brightness. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Assembly. On a lightly floured surface, roll out 1 disc of dough into a circle and gently fit it into your pie plate. Pour in that beautiful apple filling, dot it with a few extra pats of butter for good measure, and then roll out the second disc of dough for the top crust. Carefully place it over the filling, crimp the edges to seal, and cut a few vents in the top to allow steam to escape. Don't forget to give the top crust a little egg wash for that gorgeous golden brown finish. Pop that pie in a preheated oven and bake until the crust is deeply golden and the filling is bubbly. This usually takes about 45 to 50 minutes. Now, I know it's hard, but let the pie cool completely before slicing into it. This allows the filling to set properly. Trust me, the wait is worth it. All right, moving on to a pie that's near and dear to my heart. Dutch apple pie. What sets this beauty apart is the crumble topping. It's buttery, it's crunchy, and it's the perfect contrast to the soft, warm apples underneath. We're going to start with a pre-baked crust for this one. Just a simple pie crust, blind baked for about 10 minutes to give it a head start. While the crust is baking, let's talk apples. Again, I like a mix of varieties for a balance of sweet and tart. Peel, core, and slice your apples, then toss them with sugar, cinnamon, and a squeeze of lemon juice. Now for the star of the show, the crumble topping. This is where the magic happens. We're combining flour, brown sugar, and cold butter. Yes, more butter. And working it together until it forms a crumble. You can also add in some rolled oats to the crumble for a little extra texture. Once the crust is pre-baked, pour in the apple filling, sprinkle that irresistible crumble topping all over, and bake it until the topping is golden brown and the filling is bubbly. The aroma that fills your kitchen while this pie bakes is pure heaven. Let's take a little trip to France, shall we? This French apple tart, or tarte aux pommes, is all about simplicity and elegance. It's the kind of dessert that looks like it took hours to make, but I promise, it's totally approachable. For the crust, You can use either puff pastry or pâte brisée. Puff pastry will give you a super flaky, airy crust, while pâte brisée is more of a classic tart crust. Whichever you choose, roll it out and fit it into a tart pan with a removable bottom. Prick the bottom of the crust all over with a fork to prevent it from puffing up too much during baking. Now for the filling, we're keeping it simple but sophisticated. We're talking about a layer of apple compote. You can use store-bought or make your own. Spread over the crust. Then, thinly slice your apples and arrange them in concentric circles over the compote. It's like a work of art. Before baking, brush the apples with melted butter for richness and sprinkle them with sugar for a touch of sparkle. Bake the tart until the crust is golden brown and the apples are tender. And for the finishing touch, warm up some apricot jam and brush it over the baked tart for a glossy shine. Calling all caramel lovers! This caramel apple pie is for you. It's the perfect balance of sweet, salty and gooey, with a hint of cinnamon spice. Trust me, this one is dangerous. For the filling, we're taking things up a notch with the addition of caramel. You can use store-bought caramel sauce or make your own. I've got a great recipe on my channel. Toss your sliced apples with the caramel, some sugar, cinnamon and a bit of flour to help thicken the filling. Now, you can either go for a classic double crust or switch things up with a lattice top for this pie. I personally love the look of a lattice crust, but either way you can't go wrong. Just make sure to seal the edges well to prevent any caramel from bubbling over in the oven. Bake the pie until the crust is golden brown and the filling is bubbly. And here's the best part. Once the pie has cooled slightly, drizzle it with even more caramel sauce, because why not? Last but not least, we have the Rustic apple galette. This is the perfect pie for when you want something impressive, but don't want to spend hours in the kitchen. It's all about embracing imperfection and letting the natural beauty of the ingredients shine through. The dough for this galette is similar to a pie crust, but we're not aiming for perfection here. Roll it out into a rough circle. It doesn't have to be perfect. And transfer it to a baking sheet. Now for the fun part. Arranging the apples. We're going for a free-form look here, so just pile those sliced apples in the center of the dough, leaving a border around the edges. Sprinkle the apples with sugar and cinnamon, and dot them with a few pats of butter for good measure. Now, fold the edges of the dough over the apples, pleating and overlapping as needed. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Brush the dough with a little egg wash for colour and sprinkle it with some coarse sugar for extra crunch. Bake the galette until the crust is golden brown and the apples are tender. This usually takes about 35 to 40 minutes. Let it cool slightly before slicing and serving. This galette is delicious on its own, but it's even better with a scoop of vanilla ice cream. And there you have it, 5 delicious apple pie recipes to satisfy your sweet cravings. Whether you're a fan of classic flavours, crave a little something extra, or prefer a more rustic approach, there's a pie here for everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this apple pie extravaganza. If you try any of these recipes, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more delicious recipes. Happy baking!